Okay, we're live. All right. Well, happy
Hello.
Friday, everyone. Hey, Erin.
Hi,
Hey,
lady.
Monique. Hey, Catherine.
Hello.
Hi, Diana. Diana, welcome. Glad to have you. So, before we get started, the first time we had our first book club, I went around and I was just like, what made you interested in joining the book club? So, we already know Catherine and Monique's reason, but Erin, we'd like to hear from you. What is it about a book club that makes you want to join, be a part of it?
Well, I read a lot anyway. I'm a voracious reader. And so, it'd be nice to be a part of a group that also reads and kind of talk about the different books that we read. I read for work and I read just about anything. So even if it's boring, I will read it. But I don't find much boring. So I'm kind of excited to join you ladies and work on public speaking at the same time. So
I think that's awesome. And I'm curious, like if I find a book boring, I'll put it down and stop reading. Will you actually finish it even if
yes, I have to know what will happen. So yeah, I'll finish it all the way through.
I'm the same way. I it's very hard for me to DNF a book. I can't.
Yes.
Wait, did you say DNF?
Yeah, do not finish.
Oh, I never heard
Book
that.
language.
Never heard that one. So, Diana, just since you're in the chat, I want you to feel as a part of this as possible. So, when I ask a question and I go around, feel free to start typing up your response while everyone is kind of answering so that you can participate just as much as everyone. So, as far as that one, I already know why you're joining. You love reading as much as Monique.
Yes.
Monique, if you want to speak on behalf of Miss Diana, you are welcome to.
Well, mommy's always been an avid reader, so I think I get my love of books from her. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know. She could put in what she likes to read. I know she likes to read like mystery, romance, thrillers, contemporary, whatever. She reads everything just like me. And right now we're buddy reading together actually the Throne of Glass series. So
The Throne of Glass series.
yeah, by Sarah J. Maas. It's a fantasy
Okay.
series. It's really good actually.
That's awesome. Well, welcome all new members to July's book club. So just before we get into it, I'll just kind of preface what July's book pick was. So for July, we chose The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I hope I said that right. This book is basically stopping time. A woman, she's on a path in her life, not great, trigger warning. She's going through a lot. When I say trigger warning, there's mention of suicide. There's, mention of depression. There's a lot going on. It was a heavy start to the book. Didn't even realize it. So if that is something that makes you uncomfortable or is triggering, this is an opportunity for you to take stage left to get out of here. But in this book club, because we do enjoy inspirational fiction, one of the reasons I chose this book was because I feel like every story has a hero. Well, everyone who has a battle that they face in inspirational fiction does find a way to overcome it. And so that is something that I enjoy about inspirational fiction. So though this book did start out heavy, I'm excited to see where it's going. Does anyone have anything to add to that? Definitely any thoughts, because for me, I wasn't ready.
Well, I mean, I had this book planned on my TBR before knowing about this book club, so I was definitely interested in reading it, and it wasn't shocking about the whole attempted suicide or whatever and depression, because I knew about it going in, but I can definitely see where that can be kind of triggering for some people. So I would definitely say, like, if that's something that triggers you, don't do it. But I'm hoping, like, obviously there's going to be a light at the tunnel and it'll be eye-opening, and I'm hoping to get that.
Yeah. Now I'm curious, Catherine, with you listening to this book on audio, like, I know when I'm reading a book, did you have any feelings just initial feelings listening to it on audio? Like, could you feel the emotion and what she was going through? Like, how was the narrator?
The narrator's good. Yeah, I mean, you could feel the, lack of any excitement, like just, I guess, apathy in her voice, and her just, not really caring about anything.
Yeah. Well, so that's kind of the premise of the book. Basically, so now we can, I guess, get started, and this is how it begins. So Nora Roberts, she's definitely down on her luck in life, and she attempts suicide. But she ends up going to this midnight library where she kind of gets a new lease on life. She enters this library. There's loads and loads of books. Each one gives her an opportunity to have a different life. So for this book club, we read pages basically 0 to 102, or we finished off at the chapter The Successful Life. And so I guess we'll get into it now. So I've got my questions here. All right. I am interested, Erin, to hear from you first on this. Did the story pull you in immediately, or did you have a hard time getting into this book?
I will be honest, it wasn't initially a page turner for me. It was, I did not know what the story was about. I didn't read the summary in the back. So I picked it up and kind of just started fresh without any initial impressions. And it was rough. I was like, whoa, this is really dark. And I thought about you, Emerald, and I said, this is supposed to be inspirational.
I know.
I'm not feeling inspired.
Erin texted me. She was like, what do you have us reading? I was like, I didn't know.
So it was rough, but right around page 25, 26, when we meet Mrs. Elm in the Midnight Library, I kind of got excited about the book. And I think that the Book of Regrets, which we all have in our lives, and the weight of regret, and how she has kind of an opportunity to rethink how she perceived things. It's actually really exciting. And so, 90 plus pages in, I'm really curious how the writer's going to take the story.
Those are really good initial thoughts. And Diana chimed in too. She said it was a little bit slow and heavy in the beginning. Like I'm on the same page with you, Diana. When I started reading it, I was kind of like, wow, this is a hard read. Like, this is kind of sad. I hope it gets better. It didn't take off for me like the last month's book did, where you just got in and it was just like this crazy story. I was just like, this girl is miserable. She is sad, poor thing. Like, I hope, things turn around. I was just feeling so bad for her. I was like, and any time that there were sentences where I was just like, okay, this is what happened. And the next thing I was like, oh, this is going to really just take her down even more. The next sentence would be, yeah, I'm taken down, even more. It was almost in some areas predictable about how much she was going to continue downfalling in the beginning. But I'll turn that over to you, Monique. How was it for you getting in?
I didn't have a problem with it in the beginning. I don't have a problem with it now. I think it's actually a fast read for me. It is kind of heavy. Again, I prepared myself going into it, so I kind of knew. It was just like, damn, what else could happen to her? And then boom, something else happens. And then damn, what else could happen to her? And then boom. So it's like you kind of in a way relate to her and kind of understand why she would think that that's her only option. And it's kind of interesting now that we have now that she's in the library and she read the Book of Regrets. And I think one of the things that I liked about the Book of Regrets, so say like her cat was taking off the Book of Regrets because at the end of the day, she didn't know what the cat was going through. Like, she didn't know what was happening with the cat internally, and it was his time to go, and it's his time to go. It's his time to go. It's not your fault either way. It's like his fate. So I like the fact that it's showing you, like, it's showing her, like, yes, it's regrettable. Like, yes, it's sad, but not everything is your fault. You place so much on yourself, basically. And I thought that was a really good point.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see I'm hoping that the whole book of regrets gets erased.
Right. I know, that visualization of it just literally being erased off the page.
Yes.
Good writing.
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Catherine? How was it for you getting in?
I felt the same as Erin did. I didn't know going in what the book was. I mean, you guys had kind of summarized it, I think, at the end of our last thing.
Yeah.
So I had some idea, but not much. And so I started listening, and I wasn't a big fan at first, but I was in the car driving anyway. So I was like, we got a meeting tomorrow, or this week, so keep listening. And it definitely got better, and I definitely am interested, and can't wait to see what happens, now that it was just the beginning part before the library.
Yeah. Now this is a question not in the discussion. What did you think of the author's writing initially? Like, I know for me, I felt like the way Matt Haig wrote it was it was easy to understand, but maybe this is me being such a stickler. I was like, did he mean to say that this way? Like, there were some parts where I thought the context was missed, or the word usage was incorrect. But I don't know. Do you guys know, is he an American author? Do you guys know? Does anyone know much about the author?
I assume he's from London, because
I assume he's British.
That's the way that it's written. Like the some of the spelling is like English, like the English version of spelling, like the British version of spelling. So
that would make sense. As to why maybe I wouldn't say it that way, but the author would say it that way.
Yeah. Catherine, in the audiobook, does she have an English accent?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that makes sense.
All right. Look at what you find out when you just get with other people. Okay.
I did notice that he spelled color oddly, but I really didn't think anything of the author.
Yeah, they spelled like things like color. They say mum instead of mom, and like they use the S's instead of Z's, like things like that. And I was like, oh, it takes place in London, so makes sense.
That's interesting. That's not something I typically think about when I'm reading a book, about where the author's from and what vantage point they're writing it from, and how that might impact the writing. I never really thought about that, so it's good that that'll register in my head.
Yeah, I noticed that when I don't ever usually think of that either, but then with audiobooks, I've been more like when they have a British accent or an Australian accent, I'm like, it didn't even occur to me that it would be, that people would talk differently, so it's fun. That's part of the reason I like the audiobooks.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start with you on this next question, Catherine. Did any passages in particular stand out to you? And if so, why?
There were a couple sayings sort of that I really liked so I liked when Mrs. Elm let her go into the book to see her cat, and she was like, why? And she kept saying, because the only way to learn is to live. And I liked that saying, which she said, a couple times. I also liked how she said the library was was a library of possibilities, and that death is the opposite of possibility. I thought that was an interesting part. And then I liked when Mrs. Elm asked her to define what success was, because I think that that's something we should all do and don't necessarily think to do, like we think we're not successful, but it's because we've never defined that sort of for ourselves. So I liked that. part as well. Like more the parts where Mrs. Elm was teaching something. I liked those parts the best.
And just so you know, since we have another member too, if anyone jumps in when Diana's talking in the chat, like feel free to respond to her too. I will be as well, but she responded to the uses of S instead of Z in the book as part of it being, different from being London versus say American. But back to what you were saying, Catherine, about Mrs. Elm's involvement and how, it was her involvement that was kind of exciting. I agree. Like, I think the fact that it was one of her childhood teachers, usually like one of our teachers from childhood, they have they're imprinted in our memory in some way. Like, I don't know about you, Monique, but
Mr. Kelly?
Elementary school teachers, I think her name was Miss Sepulveda. I don't know.
Oh my God. Yes.
What was she, like, our third grade or second grade teacher?
Yeah, I think third grade. My second grade teacher was Miss Thompson. I remember her.
Imagine one teacher that meant so much to you, just like you're losing it in life, and they're like, hey, listen, you're gonna get it together, and I'm gonna show you. I feel like that, that was beautiful how she kind of stepped in, because we know that she meant something to Nora.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. That was good. Erin, what about you? Did you have any passages?
I liked how when she goes back to Dan, and she finds out that he is being unfaithful to her, how she stands up for herself. And she really says, some people are, just talking about how he finally achieved his dream. He wanted the pub. They got what, she helped him pursue that dream, and they finally achieved it. And it's on page 58. The pub before you had it. This is the life you dreamed of. You wanted me. You wanted this, and yet you've been unfaithful, and you think like a fish. You drink like a fish. And I think you only appreciate me when you don't have me, which is not a great trait to have. What about my dreams? And I just thought this was a great opportunity for the character to confront, just like with the cat as well, a regret that she had, to recognize that, hey, Dan really wasn't the one to begin with for a variety of reasons that she describes in the chapter. He wasn't very particularly supportive of her. And then also to finally to have that opportunity to say, well, you got me and you still didn't appreciate me. So I appreciated that she had the chance to live that life and then confront it and say, this wasn't what I wanted, and move on. So I also liked the ones that Catherine mentioned as well. I thought they were very insightful and helpful. For some reason, that passage, that particular section on 58 spoke to me. So.
I have reasons why that spoke to me too, but did that one speak to anyone else as well?
I liked that part.
Yeah.
I just think that she's going to realize that she's trying to make everybody else happy, and she's unhappy because she's trying to make everybody else like happy and live their dreams. I think that's where the whole book is going, and she's not. She's going to realize that the path that she was on was her right path.
Uh-oh.
We lost
Catherine. She'll probably be back.
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't highlight that. I just like I like the fact that she was standing up for herself.
I do too, and
she stands up for herself with her dad too, even though not to his face. But like as she's doing her laps and she's swimming and she's thinking about like everything that she's done it to please her dad, and then all of a sudden like she's realizing like her dad's a douche. Like she did everything to make him happy, and he still wasn't happy, and it ruined their marriage, like him and her mother's marriage. Like
yeah, there was a lot of that. I think that was in The Successful Life where we were confronted with.
That was the last chapter we read. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. No, back to the one you were talking about, Aaron, that passage. What I appreciated about this whole time travel thing and time standing still is for me, it kind of reminds me of if like you have a memory and you're just like, if I went back in time, how would that change? You have an idea. You're like, oh, this is exactly how I would handle it. But in this passage, I feel like she, hold on, we have private chat. I don't know what that was about. But
those,
Oh, it was Catherine.
did you see that? Oh, okay.
It was Catherine, yeah.
Okay. You swear, you're like, if I can go back in time, I would handle it this way. I know I would be happy. Like in my mind, I feel like Nora Roberts is going through that when she's entering these different books. She's saying, oh yeah, no, this is the life for me because I feel like this is exactly how it would go. She gets in there and then she's like, no, you're basically in the same butthole that you are in real life. Like there is no fantasy to this. And so I appreciated that passage.
Especially since she does attempt suicide in the story. The fact that she stands up for herself, I thought, was important because it's kind of like she's fighting for something, given how bad her situation was.
Yeah. And that's funny, Mom, that you talk about that passage because I have it tabbed as one of my highlighted points. Yeah.
Me too. Maybe you have a lack problem rather than a want problem. Maybe there's a life that you really want to live. Into that passage. And so I highlighted a very small passage, but to me it was so meaningful. She went back so this kind of is on the same page, Aaron, that you chose. For me, it was the disappointment was complete. So you go back, so say whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, anything in life, like you're like, man, I probably could have done something different there. And you give it a second chance. I've been there, done that. That one sentence, the disappointment was complete. Like, is that not so accurate when we revisit a chapter of our life that was meant to be over? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's how that one made me feel. But Monique, what passage for you did you want to speak to?
I think Catherine did this one, but it says it's in the fish tank where it says, that you can choose choices, but not the outcomes. But I can stand by what I said. It was a good choice. It just wasn't the desired outcome. So when I guess in reference to her cat dying, I think. Was it her cat? No, it was Izzy.
Oh, right. Yep. Her
yeah. Because she went back and she thought that she was going to live this great life in Australia with Izzy. Come to find out, she died, and Miss Elm knew all along that she was going to die in that. And she was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Well, why did you tell me to go there? You said it was a good choice." And she was like, "I didn't say it was good." She said it was a good choice, but didn't mean that it was going to be a good outcome. Like that. I was like, man, that sucks, but that's deep.
Yeah.
Like it's not always going to be what you want. And then the last one that I have was when she was giving her TED talk, and I think you highlighted this on Instagram. This sounds familiar, but the one about most gossip is envy in disguise. Keep your head down, keep your stamina, keep swimming. That
was like powerful. I was so happy with that chapter. I was like, you better go, Laura.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see, because I guess the next chapter, the peppermint tea chapter, is going to be more in that life. I'm curious to see what's going to make her go back, because it seems like she's pretty successful and pretty confident, and she has her dad's alive, her brother and her have a good relationships. Like, what's going to make her unhappy enough to want to go back to the Midnight Library? That's going to be interesting to find out.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. She's over there doing push-ups. She's like, and I love
Hello.
how,
Let me
right?
do one burpee. I'm on the floor.
But isn't it? It's so fun. The fun thing about that is like her body's almost on autopilot. Like she hops into these experiences and she's just like making it up as she goes along.
Yeah.
Like how cool would that be?
Yeah. And also, I wonder what it means, like when she talks about her body and these different lives. How like in her life with her husband, she felt healthier, like physically, she felt healthier, but she was tired. And this one, she felt energetic and healthy and like the strongest she's ever been. Like I wonder what significance that has within each life.
Well, I wonder, so there was one passage that was kind of confusing to me, which I wonder if this is why. It talked about her root life. So it said it was a bit humbling this was on page 92. It was a bit humbling to realize that even though this Isabel Hirsch might never have met Nora Seed, she was still doing the same thing she was doing in Nora's root life. So I wonder if it's just like her so I feel like it has to do with her root life, but I can't piece that together just yet. Obviously, like it all has to circle back to her root life, but that's kind of
why would she Google Nora Seed?
Who's Nora Seed? Herself, because she didn't know who she was in that life.
But isn't her name Nora Roberts? Or am I going crazy?
Oh, no. Wait, or did I say her name was Nora? That was me. I said
I was like, is that an author?
I'm telling lies in this thing. Her name is not Nora Roberts. It's Nora Seed.
Okay. I'm like the author. Okay, cool. That was me not paying attention.
Thanks for picking up on that. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the next question that I have, and let's see. Did the characters seem believable to you? Did they remind you of anyone you know? So Monique, I'll let you lead that one.
Oh no. Did the character? I mean, yeah, they're all believable. As far as sounding like somebody that I know, not off the top of my head, I can't think of.
We can always come back to you if someone pops up.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Erin, what about you?
I agree. They're all believable. I can't say that I know anyone quite like Nora in her situation.
Yeah.
They're believable characters.
Okay. Catherine, what about you?
Yeah, I feel the same. I think they're believable characters, but I didn't relate, and I didn't think of any certain, person when I was reading through it. I wasn't. Well, actually, I was thinking when they were like having all the regrets, I was thinking of my husband and a couple people, a couple friends I have that regret a lot of things.
Mm.
And I was thinking like that I really like the whole theme of the book and how I feel like it captures how I think of regret, but I'm not actually able to put it into words. And I feel like she does a really good
and stuff. So make a mental note to disconnect Wi-Fi anytime I do these. Am I freezing again?
No, you're good.
Okay,
you're good now.
All right. So the next one that I have, were there any plot twists that you loved or hated? I will start with that one. And Diana, I'd love to hear your thoughts on plot twists for this question too. Let me go to that page. I think I highlighted it in big letters because I was like, I love this. All right. Let me see. So it was really when midnight turned, when it happened, when everything kind of happened. So she waited for the next second to arrive, but it didn't. Like just simplest thing, the small sentence, it was at that point in time where everything changed. And understanding that's like the basis of the book, I loved it. So the author did a great job. What about you, Erin?
I don't know if it's quite a plot twist, and I know we kind of already hit on this before, but I really did like seeing Mrs. Elm. And one of the things I like seeing her in the Midnight Library, and she's not Mrs. Elm. She's not the original Mrs. Elm, but she's sort of in the body of Mrs. Elm. I thought it was interesting that she picked Mrs. Elm, or Mrs. Elm was selected by the author because that's the person that really told her when her father died, and kind of started off, I guess, the downward spiral for this character, Nora. So to a certain degree, I can understand why she would pick Mrs. Elm, almost like a favorite blanket, a child selecting a favorite blanket. But I also thought it was a painful memory to revisit. That person delivered that information to her and kind of started her spiral down, so to speak. So I don't know if that's a plot twist. I'm sorry, but I appreciated seeing Mrs. Elm again in the Midnight Library.
Mm-hmm. I'm on board with that. So, Diana, it looks like, well, I know two people who cheated. I know Erin wanted to cheat and read forward. Really? I don't know if you did. Did you?
I read like 10 pages more, and then I said, okay, Emerald said, don't do that. So.
It's all good. So I guess there's a good twist coming, and now I'm excited to go further. Catherine, you probably know already too.
Did you finish already, Catherine?
No, but it was hard with the audiobook. I was like, wait, what was the chapter? And they I couldn't read it,
Yeah.
So I was like, what did they? So even I asked Emerald to send me a picture of the table of contents, which apparently there isn't one.
No.
So then she said, like peppermint tea is next. And I remembered the peppermint tea story. So I was like, oh, I know where, and I knew the title, The Success Story or whatever. So yeah, but I went back and just briefly listened to parts today, so I would know which books came before that and which ones came after, so I wouldn't give anything away.
Okay. Well, so maybe with the plot twist question, maybe we can think about this differently. What did you guys think about how the author sort of transported Nora to different timelines? Like, what did you think about the fact that, with the disappointment, she would then disappear? Because that was, I think that was pretty awesome, how every time she would experience unhappiness or disappointment with whatever life book she had chosen, that she would be removed from that. Like, what are your thoughts on this whole time travel situation? And anyone, feel free to start. I love it. I think it's a pretty cool concept.
I love it too. It's like, it's kind of like, it feels like it's kind of like Groundhog's Day, but like in different lives. Like, and it's cool in a way that she gets to experience different things and come to the realization that life isn't for her. Yeah. One thing that I liked about the plot twist, I don't know if it's a plot twist, I think it's building up to a plot, is the color of the books. I don't know if anybody else realized the color of the books.
That they're all
they're all green, but I think the darker they are, the more depressed she is, or the more far gone she is, because when she gets to the point where she wants to be a swimmer and she wants to go way back in time, it's a light green book.
Mm.
I didn't pick up on that.
Wasn't there a gray book?
I think the Book of Regrets is gray.
It's gray. Interesting.
Yeah. And all of her life story, all of her stories, they're all green. They're different shades of green.
Mm.
And I picked I that like stood out to me. I was like, what is the significance of the color of the book, and what is the significance of green? Green's my favorite color, but still, like, what's the significance of it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to find out what that is.
That's really brilliant. I never really picked up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's based on how far away from her real life it is.
That too.
You know, like the darker ones are close to her real life and the lighter one, maybe. I don't know. I did pick up on the different colors, but I didn't think about any significance or, so I don't know. Be interesting to go back and see.
Yeah. Did anyone else have thoughts about the author's use of like transition to different lives and things like that? How she was entering, exiting, you know, maybe her experiences, like her out of body experience. I kind of thought I was chuckling a lot when she didn't quite know what to say. Like the one line that really made me laugh was when I think she was, or John, I think it's John, when he was like, "How's Will?" And she's like, "He's good." And he's like, "Really?"
She's like, "No."
Like,
just kidding.
"No, I don't know. Will could be a baby. He could be in a coma. Like, I don't know. She's just going along with it. I'm like, how difficult that would be. Just making it up as she goes along. Oh, yeah. Sorry, my light went out. Let me.
Feels like it'd be so awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be scared. I don't know. I would be so scared, like, of getting caught, like I'd be doing something wrong, or like doing something illegal. Like, what? I'd be so scared.
Afraid to say something wrong. And she is a little bit like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wouldn't like living in that feeling.
No.
Yeah.
And so Diana said it's very much like It's a Wonderful Life movie. Has anyone seen that? I'm sure I have, but it's probably been a long time.
Yes. Yeah. That's an old
one. Maybe I'll have to Google it or something.
I think, or something like that.
Is it on Netflix?
Probably find it.
It may be Amazon Prime.
It reminded me of the one with Scrooge.
That's what my mom said last night. She said it's kind of like Scrooge.
Yeah. I think it was The Christmas Carol. That was the name.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking of because she kind of gets to visit the ghosts of her past.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
She's lucky, honestly. I think she's got a gift. This Midnight Library is a great gift. Just like, in Groundhog's Day, I mean, he got a chance to learn how to play the piano. I think she really has a gift in letting go of this heavy regrets. Whatever happens to her, whether she decides to really die or decides to pursue life, I think it's a gift.
Yep. Well, while we're on you, so what do you think will happen next to the main characters, Erin?
I think she's going to go through a few more lives. I think she's going to cross off some more regrets. And I think that book of regrets, at least I'm hoping, becomes lighter for her. And maybe she has a second chance at her root life and decides that, you know what, I'm going to take hold of my root life and make the best out of it. And maybe the decisions I made were the right decisions for the reasons that I've experienced these different alternative routes of my life. And I hope that she harnesses her life and goes forward. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know if the book's going to go that route, but I'm kind of assuming it will.
I'm hoping for the same thing. I truly think that she's just going to continue to be confronted with these various life experiences that she thought she wanted. And she's just maybe going to have a greater appreciation for where she is exactly in life. Monique, what about you?
I the same. I honestly think she's going to go through, and every single life that she lives outside of her root life is not going to be satisfying or fulfilling for her. And she's going to end up going back, and she's going to realize that the life that she has is worth living. And I hope, that's what I hope, honestly, because I don't see it any other way. I don't see her staying in another world.
Mhm. I agree with you. Catherine, what about you?
I agree. I think that she'll probably end up in her root life. And I think that just the fact that she's crossing off regrets will make her, her root life so much less heavy, so much lighter. And so then she won't need to, and she'll have like Erin was saying, this library is like a gift, like it really, like the gift of knowing why, because we know we made decisions for a reason, but we regret them because we don't know what that reason is. And so the gift of being able to see what it would have been like, and to know that it's not, just one decision. Like in order for her to become an Olympic swimmer, it changed, a lot of people's lives. And it was a lot of decision, like Mrs. Elm was saying, it's further from your life. And it took a lot of decisions to get here, not just one or two. And so just the gift of seeing that, I think, will help her in her regular life.
And I'm going to keep putting a plug out there too. This is our life coach here. So she, seriously, in real life, she's a life coach. And you can find her at truenorthcoaching.com. Did I get that right?
Finding True North Coaching, yeah.
Finding True North Coaching. Whew! Glad I have to correct me on that. Okay. And, it looks like Diana agreed too. So we're hoping for the best with Nora. The next question, is there any moment in time in your life you feel speaks to what you're reading thus far? I will say yes. Like, I think when it came to the successful life, if you will, I was one of those folks who took like the fast road to, promotions and exciting positions. Not to say I don't appreciate what they've taught me, but I was one of those who experienced that life and decided like that level of status, that level of living and everything like that was not for me at that moment in time. So sort of how she's trying on these different lives and crossing off those regrets in general, like I feel like I'm living that, like I'm living those experiences now. I'm doing things, I'm experiencing them now, and I'm like, no, this isn't exactly what I wanted, and I'm changing that. I'm letting that regret or that part of my life disappear. So that's my thought about that. Monique, what about you?
It's making me look at my decisions and what I've made, and I made some pretty big. I moved across the country. Okay, so I always question myself, like, did I make the right decision? If I could make that decision again, would I? And then what would my life be if I was still in California? Would I still be doing this, or would I do this? And now I'm just like, what? It doesn't matter. Like, this book is making me like think about like your regrets. What are my regrets look like? And I'm like, what? I'm not looking at the past anymore. So yeah.
That's good. Erin, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that question.
I can relate to Monique. I've also moved across the country from California. I've been a vagabond of all vagabonds. I left, grew up in Pasadena, California, moved to Virginia, and then moved up here to New England, which has been an interesting transition. So I too have looked at my life and reflected at some of the choices I've made. I don't feel like Nora. I don't feel like Nora. I don't regret. My book of regret is not heavy like that. But there are regrets that I have. And I too, I think in the moment, just like Nora, she's thinking about Dan. And in the beginning, she's, well, why didn't we get married? I left him at the altar. She's feeling sorry for him because she didn't quite leave him at the altar, but 3 days prior, she gets out of the marriage. I think that as she goes back to the life and she starts to remember all the things that led to that decision for why she said, you know what, this isn't the right guy 3 days before the wedding. Sorry.
Mhm.
And I think with any of my regrets, instead of looking at the picture perfect outcome that I might fantasize about, but really thinking about the reality of what happened to lead to the decision that I made. Why did I choose to go to Virginia? Why did I stay in Virginia? I went back home to LA, okay, but I went back to Virginia. Why did I go back?
Mhm.
I think the reality and confronting that reality is very healthy, because it does help you say, well, this is why I chose the route I went. I stuck with it. I'm glad it was the best route for me. And, you can kind of move on from there. And I do appreciate that for Nora, that she's having that chance. I'm sorry that she's having it under the circumstances. But in terms of my life, yes, I'm watching her or reading her and thinking, well, you know what? Let's not paint everything with a rose-colored lens here.
Well said. Well said. And Catherine, what about you?
Yeah, it made me remember a time when, we were struggling here and the kids' behaviors were really bad. And I would tell myself, like, I wish I could have just parented them this way, or I wish I had known. And if I had, like, not been so this way, then things would be different. And how we don't know that, how just because, if we had done things differently, then other things would have been different. So we can't say that if I would have done A, B would happen. It could be just like she has, a multitude of possibilities. The same would be for us. We can change that one thing and then their behavior would change. So then other things would change. So I think just, that's the time of life that it brought me back to thinking about is, things I wish I could change, and knowing and just sort of confirming that even if you do change that one thing, it doesn't automatically mean that, everything would be perfect. I liked how Mrs. Elm was saying that, when she was playing chess and she was talking about how the rook is her favorite piece. And how straightforward isn't always straightforward. Like you think that everything's going to go, like, how it's going to go, but then it goes differently. And so it just made me think of that and just sort of, reaffirmed that.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite passages too, using that example. And it's interesting that you bring up, not to, I know Aaron and Diana, you guys didn't read Life's Golden Ticket, but it's interesting when we look at how Life's Golden Ticket was written, or, the premise of that book to this one. In Life's Golden Ticket, you were able to just go back and see what happened. You didn't get an opportunity to change outcomes. In this book, she's having an opportunity to change outcomes. So I just thought the transition from that book now to this one was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So the last question that I have here is, based on what you've read up until now, do you feel inspired? If so, in what particular area of your life? So Erin, I'll start with you on that one.
I get to start again. Oh no.
You do.
Well, yeah, I think inspired to let go of regret. Really, I think to kind of just move forward with life and be happy with what is. I think that's definitely something I would take away from the book for sure.
Okay, I like that. Diana, if you're out there, I don't know if you dropped off, but I want to hear your thoughts too. But I'll go next with that one. Like you, Aaron, same with the Book of Regrets. I know I'm one of those folks who I will revisit the past over and over again, like physically in real life, if I can, just to see if it will have a different outcome. And I've had friends preach to me, girl, if it didn't work out the first time, what makes you think it'll work out the second time, you know, or just whatever. And so I can appreciate that this book, we're seeing that there is a reason, you know, we're getting an understanding of, okay, well, yeah, try on that life, but it doesn't mean you're going to like it for one reason or another. So acceptance, you know, absolutely acceptance of circumstances as they happened, and appreciating, you know, where I am right now. So I'll go to you next, Monique. What about you?
Yeah, I think that I agree with you on that. It's making me appreciate what I have, and it's making me look back and get the lessons, the life lessons out of, you know, past decisions. And like Erin said, like making you realize what would have happened if it would have oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. But yes, it's making me appreciate what I have now, and it's making me learn have, I don't know why I'm struggling right now.
Confidence, or
Not confidence, but it's like it's
revisit.
making me understand and appreciate the past and appreciate the present more. And so I'm not trying to look at the past and think, oh, why didn't that happen for me, or why didn't I make this happen? I'm just gonna roll with it. And you can't change the past. You can only, you know, move forward.
Mm-hmm. Influence the future.
Yeah.
I'm with you. So Diana, she said, that is exactly it, Erin. Reality versus my fantasy of what happened. I can totally relate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agree with that. And Catherine, what about you?
The same. It made me not really feel inspired in any specific area of my life, but just regret any regrets I have, you know, revisiting them. And like Erin said, you know, not looking them, or I think it was Erin, not looking at them with like rose-colored glasses, but like, okay, what actually happened? And then also sort of having some sort of the word that came to mind when I was listening to this was trusting myself. Like, maybe I didn't know why I made that decision, but trusting that I had reasons instead of just doubting, like, you know, instead of just doubting myself and thinking I must have made the wrong decision, because if I made this decision, everything would have, you know, come out better. And where she's going back and seeing like, no, my decision was based on, you know, his behaviors and the way he made me feel and the way, but once we're out of the situation, you know, we forget all that and we just think we blame ourselves. And so I think it just, you know, inspires me to look at the things I do regret and remember, you know, trust my decision and also look at them in reality, sort of.
Yeah, it's so easy to romanticize situations. And I don't know where I heard this before, probably some, you know, self-help book or author, but they were like, you know, you had all of the information and data at the time you made that decision to make that decision. So trust that with the information presented to you and the circumstances in that time, you made the right decision. And well, Diana said that is what she thought too. And being a super young single mother, I always think about what I could have done differently. Yes, like I hear you. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. You know, going through this experience, like I've accepted where I am, and you know, doing what I'm doing with it today and moving forward, and not sitting in the pain anymore, and just seeing how this is the life that I chose, and this is the path that I'm on, and I'm happy with everything that kind of enters this story. So those are my final thoughts on that. I guess as far as what we've read thus far, does anyone have any other thoughts that we didn't get a chance to discuss before we move on to other topics of interest and get off this here chat?
Nope. I think we covered it.
We covered it. We slayed it. So, about the books, I don't want them all to be so heavy. So so if anyone's watching and they were only interested in the discussion for Midnight Library, that's the discussion for Midnight Library. The next discussion we have will be on the 26th, I believe. I'm sorry, no, the 23rd. 23rd, same time. And we'll be finished. We'll by that time have finished or have gotten close to finishing the book to round out and finalize our discussions. But as far as the next book pick goes, I had chosen Outlaw Ocean. Now, these books, I don't want them to all be so heavy. So I did a little bit more research about Outlaw Ocean. And it's kind of dark. Not dark in the sense of like, there's no trigger warnings associated with it. However, it's not an exciting read. So if you guys have any recommendations for September, I'd love to hear it. But I'm thinking for next month, and this was at the recommendation of Aaron, this author, Mitch Albom. Are any of you familiar with Mitch Albom?
No, but I just did a quick Google search for great inspirational fiction books, and his is the first name that came up.
Look at the universe, Catherine. Look at the So the book that I'd like to change to August is going to be The Timekeeper.
Okay.
I don't think anyone has read that. I know, Erin, you have it. You started reading it.
I started, but I had a baby and I kind of put it down. So
Yeah.
Kind of got busy.
Yeah, a little night feedings and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if you guys are all in agreement, I think The Outlaw Ocean will just axe, not to say it's not going to be a great book, but for purposes of trying to overcome some of these heavy books, moving on to The Timekeeper seems like it would be a great swap out. And then that leaves us open with someone to pick a book for September. So if anyone has a recommendation for September, let me know, send me an email, send me a text, whatever, and we'll roll with that. So what do you guys think?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, that's all I have for everyone for the first book discussion of the month, which is, the only book really that we're reading for the month, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig out of London, now that we've learned.
Out of London, shut up.
Fancy here. So thank you all for joining. I hope to see you again next time on the 23rd.
Wait.
Yes.
Can we talk about the romance?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Please.
Let's talk about it. Okay.
I can't find that book on Goodreads.
Okay.
The one that you were doing, Erin.
Okay.
I don't know why.
So if no one knows what we're talking about, I posted on Instagram. So one of our members was interested in other types of book genres. And I'm like, great idea. Like, that's what the whole goal of Paper and Pajamas is. I'd like us to choose different genres, have different books to read. Like, I only know what I know. So expanding our genre list is amazing. So erotica came up, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I might like it, maybe I won't, but I know somebody will. And so if you want to,
we like it.
Yeah, it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you guys know, I'll be updating the site accordingly to add the book club. I'll be getting with Aaron to discuss how to lead that book discussion and everything, like what software I use and, just how I'm connecting with you all. So if you guys have other friends who are interested in maybe that genre, or anyone at all who's interested in any genre, let me know. Like, I am, I'm constantly updating the site. I'm going to be migrating it to a different site to expand all the genres that we have interest. And, as long as our dates don't overlap, we can have book clubs all month, different discussions. Some of you like fantasy, some of you might like erotica, some of you might like, I don't know, sci-fi. There's tons of genres out there. So,
and my sister's joining. Oh, actually, I won't be here at the end of the month because I'm going away that weekend, but my sister will be on. I asked her if she was coming tonight. She said she didn't get the book yet, but
Okay.
I think she'll be on the 23rd.
awesome.
Cool.
Well, we look forward to meeting her.
She looks just like me pretty much. So
Yeah, shoot. Make sure you can forward her the email that I send, but
yeah, I sent it to her.
Okay.
So she was going to check out the thing. So I don't know if she, I don't send you email or whatever. But when I text her today, she's like, oh no, I didn't get the book yet. But there's a huge wait at the library and stuff for this book. It's like crazy. So, but she was going to download it, I think Audible tonight. So she should be done it by the end of the month.
okay. All right. Well, so Monique, back to the discussion you guys were having about this novel. That's going to be the first book club pick. Does anyone like for erotica genre?
Okay.
Well,
Is it?
this is going to be the first one.
If you wanted to.
Well, it's up to. Monique, if you wanted to do 365 days, I'm totally open.
Oh,
to
I have that. I already have it, so I'm down with that.
So Catherine and Emerald, just so you guys, both of these books are actually their series on Netflix. And unfortunately, I watched the series first and never read the books. But 365 Days, the book is very different from the show, and it's very good. There is some controversy with 365 Days because it's basically it's a Beauty and the Beast kind of story, so to speak. She's captured by.
It's a kidnapping.
Yeah.
Basically. It's a kidnapping mafia romance.
Yes. So there is some controversy because she's kidnapped, but it's really good and highly romantic. And I don't know if I want to call it erotica as much as I want to call it mom porn. Like that's a little more, now that
What did you call it?
Mom porn.
Mom porn. Listen, I read fairy porn too. It's like that's what the Court of Thorns and Roses series is about, and that's my favorite series. And literally fairy porn. It's okay.
I'm gonna have to look into that then. But
so I'm down. We could read that.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll get with Erin and I'll be sure to, make sure when I send out the next email with all the details about how that's going to schedule and, just keep sending people our way and let's try to grow this thing. And I look forward to further discussions with everyone. This was fun.
It was.
All
Thanks
right.
for hosting it for us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Emerald.
Apps all the time. Love it. And Erin, thank you. Welcome. Can't wait to see more of you.
Thank you, Emerald. I'm glad to join you, ladies. It's a lot of fun.
All right. You all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time on the 23rd.
All right. Bye.
Bye.